welcome to this brand new season of Leaders of Tomorrow, the only enabling platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters most to you, the entrepreneur. And in our 8th year, we're taking head on 2 of your most pressing concerns, that are funding and mentoring. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. Tonight's conversation is with InMobi. Now, in 2007, InMobi, which was India's largest cloud-sharing enterprise platform, moved from being an SMS search-based monetization business to providing end-to-end solutions for companies, whether they were enterprises or SMEs on a global scale. In a quest to become one of the largest tech companies anywhere in the world, InMobi betting big on innovation. I caught up with Naveen Tewari, he's the CEO of InMobi, to understand the importance really when it comes to being tech first and digital first, what his plans are for taking the company to the next level, as well as why he's so excited by data. Listen. Naveen, absolute pleasure to have you joining us on the Leaders of Tomorrow, talking face-to-face to entrepreneurs to really talk about your journey, what some of the highlights have been of your entrepreneurial journey, and to also, talk to them from your experience about perhaps some things that haven't worked and some things you wish someone had told you sooner. So it's exciting to have you here chatting with us.
First of all, thank you for inviting me to the program. I think it's amazing. Look, our journey has been, now we've been doing this for over 10 years. The journey has been, to say the least, phenomenal. I actually never thought when we kicked off back in 2007, 2008 that we would be where we are today.
Sure.
That journey in itself, for any entrepreneur, every entrepreneur will have their own journey, but there are certain pieces of that journey which, at an abstraction remain the same. In the beginning, every entrepreneur is effectively trying to figure out how to survive. And we had that same phase I would argue, for the first 2 years or so, where we were only trying to figure out how to survive and come out and not die an early death. Okay. You then move into another phase of the company and of the journey, where you have to start thinking about, scaling and getting the product market fit and, being in a state where you can actually go out and do something. And that's a very different phase, because the first phase you're in a different zone, the second phase you're in a different zone, and now you're actually having to hire more people. You have to essentially figure out what is the product, how do you take it to market, and start to get traction and get customers and generate revenue. Very different skill set, very different set of things that you need to do. Again, at that time period, while resilience is extremely important, which was coming in from the first part itself, in the second phase you essentially need to start thinking big, thinking to say, hey, can I scale this to the next level, or can I not scale it to the next level? We are right now is we are moving from a startup to a business. We are becoming a company where we want to think of ourselves that will outlast me and outlast our generation, and be a company which will stay for a very long period of time and have very massive ambitions.
Sure. So you're making some very interesting points, and I want to sort of go into each of those into depth. But I want to take a step back and talk about the fact that when you launched in 2007, you were essentially an SMS-based search platform, right? So you started there, but you realized but you realized very quickly that perhaps that's not where you want to be, and that you want to move, and all the action really was in the digital, advertising, in the marketing sort of space and platform. How did you manage that change? What helped you in terms of strategy, in terms of people? What helped you make that change?
It was important that we are building something big. That's been something which has been very true to us as a team, that we are hopefully building something very large. Mm-hmm. The SMS-based search and monetization engine that were M-Coach, it was called M-Coach then, it was not a bad idea. It was actually, the business was actually going to do well. The unfortunate part of that business, that if we had done well, it would have been a small business. And therefore, there came a time when we realized it is not going to be a large business. We will not be in control of that business. We changed our business model from focusing on text-based communication to internet-based communication. And the thesis remained the same, by the way, at a larger level, to say our goal at that point of time was to make content free for consumers. That's been our aim. That's what the platform of marketing, advertising that we've built today, the aim is to say, we'll make this free. The assumption we made, and we have been right on that assumption, that a lot of content consumption will happen on mobile devices.
Did you have a good mentor, is what I'm also trying to understand, who perhaps said this is not where you should be going, but this is the direction you should take?
Look, in the early days, when we started off, we are the first phase of startups in India. There were not that many people who had done startups, so there was not availability of to go and talk to mentors was not necessarily there. Obviously, we had some very seasoned investors in us at that point of time, so they really helped us make that transition. I think today, if you're an entrepreneur, one of the most important things you should get is get people associated with you as a mentor on a formal basis.
Okay, so as a show that talks to SMEs, I want to understand from you really how perhaps small businesses are using platforms like yours. What you wish they would know about using platforms like yours in talking to the right target audience, to the right market. What are they perhaps doing wrong that you want to talk to them about?
You're referring to the InMobi platform?
That's right.
Look, the InMobi platform is built with the assumption in mind that businesses require to reach out to their consumers who are largely present on mobile devices.
Sure.
Frankly, I do not know of a business today whose audiences are, whether it's enterprise or consumer businesses, their audiences are not on mobile phones, right?
Sure.
And so therefore, we are the world's most advanced platform today for any enterprise or SME who can leverage our platform to have communication and interaction with their customers on mobile platforms. And we provide an end-to-end system, software system, for them to be able to do so in the most effective manner.
Sure.
And we do not just appeal to SMEs or enterprises in India, we appeal to enterprises, SMEs across the globe. So today, our largest business comes from the US. So a very large number of enterprises in the US leverage us, or in China. Like a very large number of them even leverage us in China. So we are a very global platform. So anyone leveraging us will actually gain from global technology advantages that we build for those markets.
Okay, how are Indian SMEs different maybe then? Because you're talking of the US and China. How Indian SMEs different from what you're seeing in the US or China?
Look, I think the Indian SMEs are yet to essentially take on technology and understand the importance of investing in technology ahead of time in their businesses. A lot of them still rely on what I would call jugaad. And I think one of the big challenges of India is when businesses think that jugaad can actually do the job for them.
Sure.
It actually is a great thing because jugaad is phenomenal when you want to just move quickly and take a sprint. But if the SME wants to not remain an SME but wants to actually scale the SME of their business to get to the next phase of it, they have to start moving from the jugaad to a more systemic set of platforms that they would want to utilize. Okay. And I think that transition is starting to happen in small pockets, but needs to happen in a much larger way over the next few years.
Okay. I noticed that previously you said that one of the reasons that you perhaps have gained the kind of traction, one of the reasons you've gained the kind of traction is the access that you have to the manpower and to the skill sets that you have in India. For a small business watching this interview, what you say has really gone well for you? You did have a period, of course, when you were facing quite a bit of attrition, but then again, you quickly changed that model, you quickly understood what was not working, you quickly figured what needs to be done to engage better with the skill sets of the people that you're working with and trying to hire, and also keeping in mind that it's a very young workforce. What has worked for you?
Look, let me start with a few points here. This is a very important topic for me in the company, and I think I give a lot of credence to this dimension of our what we have done here to our success. Okay. Part one, the fact that, we fundamentally believe you must hire the best people out there. Now, I know everybody believes that. Let me put that into a little bit more of, into real terms. What I basically mean by that is you have two options in life when you're going to hire, right? You can hire somebody who is at a level, X. Okay. Or you can hire somebody who is at a level 2X. The delta between these two is typically price points. Sure. The person who's at a level X is costs certain amount, and somebody who is at level 2X costs a certain amount. Let's say this person costs $100. This person who has 2X the capacity, actually 3X the capacity, it'll only cost you $150 in that case. But the decision that we end up making is a very cost-effective decisioning that forces us to essentially take the take the person who is at X level for $100. Okay. But if you actually change that, you are actually going to get very disproportionate advantages, because even though your cost went up by 50%, you actually got the work done of almost three people. Okay. That thesis we have applied within the company, at scale. We absolutely believe that you must hire the best people, and we have actually gone ahead and done that again and again and again. Now, once you do that to begin with, you actually get an advantage, because the good people bring in more good people, right? Better people. Sure. And that kicks in a cycle in itself. And I think people have to understand, whether it's startups or small companies, you have to understand to begin with, if you want to scale your business, you must do that. This is very similar to, the software point that I was saying earlier. If you invest in high quality software to begin with, you will actually scale your business better. If you invest in high quality people, you will scale, you scale with that. And we have absolutely done that. And we have done a good job in terms, even when we had tough periods where, people were, not necessarily staying or whatever, we changed our strategy and we got better people to come in and stay with us. So as a company, I would argue that for example, for my management team has been with me at an average age of about 7+ years within the company, and we are only 10+ year old, right? Okay. So I have a management team which I understand what they're doing at any point of time, and for me to essentially figure out what's working, not working, the cycle time is very low. Okay. Same is true, we probably have about 30% of the company today, which is more than 5 years within the company. So we actually don't have, we keep people. We have philosophically, we believe in growing people from inside. We give them bigger and bigger roles, and that's how we keep people within the company. And I am a big believer in growing people internally, keeping people internally, and hiring the best so that you can keep them there.
We'll slip into a short break on that note. Much more on that conversation with Naveen Tewari of InMobi on the other side. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. In tonight's conversation, we're focusing on InMobi. What's the sort of revenue split, if you can share that with us, of small businesses to InMobi? I'm just trying to understand how important really the SME business is for you.
Look, I would argue that the SME would contribute to anywhere around 20-25% of our business today. We are expecting that business to scale up. Sure. SMEs always take longer, as we talked about earlier, always take longer to take on software and technology. Yeah. So it takes a little bit more of time. But companies like Google are a great example where a large portion of their business is now actually built on SMEs. It's still not the majority of it, but it takes the SMEs have become a really big force for them. So we absolutely expect that over the next few years, the portion of the business coming from SMEs should go up.
You are one of the first few startups that achieved unicorn status. You compete with the likes of, say, Google, and you were just talking about that. I'm trying to understand your USP. How have you managed to hold your own against large businesses like that? And if you can use that to really talk to our viewers to say, whatever industry you're in, you may be competing against players who are much larger than you, but this is how you hold your own.
Look, there are a few ways, and I think every business will have their own uniqueness. So let me abstract a few things out to share this. So look, when you're competing in any large space, truth be told, you will compete with one of the large companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon, right? So you choose a business that you want to be in your own business of media, you're competing with Amazon, right? Yeah. Because they have Prime. So every one of us is competing with these three large entities. So therefore, there are 2 or 3 things which I think we all have to keep in mind as we think about that. One, innovation. And frankly, those companies are innovating at a massive pace, right? So there is no disagreement on that. But you cannot not be innovating, right? So you have to be innovating at a massive pace yourself, figure out different dimensions of growth, different things that you can kick off and move forward at a very fast pace. So pace of innovation is very important, especially if you are a company in, let's say, in India or a Bharat. You should actually be leveraging the advantages of knowing the India better, knowing Bharat better, and in bringing that. So the innovation should be applied where it is hard for a global company to kick in, over the next, few years, and they'll obviously catch up, but, you should be fast.
Okay. One thing that's also perhaps helping you differentiate yourself from the others is the kind of innovation that you're doing. I understand you also look, very closely at things like, say, native advertising, for instance, in video. That's becoming a huge market for you as well. What sort of trends do you think 2019 will throw up? What are the opportunities entrepreneurs watching this interview can perhaps look forward to?
Look, those innovations were for yesteryears. Like we did those innovations 3-4 years ago.
Sure.
In current age, the level of innovation that we think that's going to happen is one, the marketing divisions of the world are essentially looking for what I call a mobile-first solutions.
Okay.
Previously, they were looking for what I would call an omni-channel solution where, whether it was, PC advertising and a TV advertising and a billboard advertising, they wanted a solution that kind of, answered all the questions. Today, the solutions that they're seeking is, what will you do on mobile? That's where my 80% of my spends are going to go. So therefore, we are an expert at that. So therefore, that's one major trend that's coming in to say, hey, we are a mobile-first platform. So you must kind of think of it. The second big trend that we're seeing is advertising and marketing is essentially coming together. The difference between advertising and marketing is you advertise to get new customers and you do paid media. Marketing is when you actually leverage your existing customers and go back and talk to them again and again and with different propositions, and you do a lot of CRM with them. Sure. All of those things are fusing together. There is no distinction between advertising and marketing because the underlying user and the data and the experience is exactly the same. So those things are coming together where advertising and marketing is all in one box. So, and we are one of the few companies in the world that's actually fusing it together. And the third area where a lot of these companies are essentially coming together is to say, we want to be very intelligent about our business. How can you help us be more intelligent about our business as we think about advertising and marketing? So leverage every CMO, every marketer out there is thinking about gaining more. Gone are the days when you do splash, when you splash the paint the town red with with your advertising and brand campaigns. You want to be very ROI centric, and the ROI centricity of this whole marketing advertising needs you to be very intelligent.
Okay.
The companies out there, the big companies that do this, actually do not make enterprises intelligent today. They are giving intelligence and becoming intelligent themselves.
Sure.
Our aim is to make enterprises more intelligent by working closely with them, which is the previous point that I was mentioning where I talked about how we work deeply with enterprises so that we can make them more intelligent also and not actually extract, we are not a one-way traffic like many other large companies out there where intelligence goes in and you never get it back. We are a two-way traffic where we take and return back intelligence so that companies can become much more smarter if they work with.
And I want to talk of the role of the government for a business like yours. Are you happy with the present regulatory framework here in India? Any changes you'd want to see?
I think, look, the current government has done a phenomenal job to begin with in terms of elevating the importance of startups, elevating the importance of new technology creation. They've done a phenomenal job at that. There are regulatory changes which are happening. I would argue that some of them have taken place, but they need to be a lot more faster. There's some of those things which need to be pro-startup needs to be done much more aggressively. I think if India were to essentially become the new powerhouse, and our Prime Minister says so anyway, it has to ride on the wave of startups. We are a country full of entrepreneurship. Look at all the shops that are around you, right? Entrepreneurship, taking risk, is within our system a little bit. We just need to harness that and bring that out, and I think government can play a big role in making that a much bigger movement for us. That's one part of it. Sure. The second part of it, which is a thought that I've shared in a few other platforms in the past, is the importance of the future of India is a function of every business enterprise in the future. The ones that will succeed because of intelligence, because of data.
Okay.
India has a big challenge in that. We do not own and control our own data. The consumer data of our country basically goes outside, and all of our data, by the way, of this country is controlled not by us, by others. It has a security challenge. It has a a future, our future looks weak because of that. If we do not control and own our data,
Sure.
future companies will not be from India, because every future company will effectively be, leveraging artificial intelligence to provide better service. If we don't have our own data, what do you apply, all the great engineers who sit around here, what will you apply that intelligence on? Because the raw material for that is gone outside. So if you go and apply, think about this in the larger scheme of things, where raw material, natural resources were controlled by the government. Today's the natural resource is our data, and that has to be controlled by the government. So regulatory policies
Sure.
around the leveraging of our data and utilization of the data has to be very well thought through with the country's future in mind. Otherwise, we're looking at things which are not that strong for us.
Okay. So then what next for you at InMobi? I want to close the interview with that.
We are a company which is very high on innovation. We are very ambitious. It's very simple for us. We want to put InMobi on a global map of one of the largest technology companies out there that has impacted the life of consumers and enterprises.
Okay.
We are on our quest to make that happen. It's just been 10 plus years for us to do it. I think the next few years will be phenomenal for us. We take a lot of pride to do that from India. We build all our technology in India, we build all our products in India, and we take them to the globe. And I just want to see one day in the near future where we are actually able to put InMobi and thereby India on a global map of technology, and that will give me a lot of satisfaction, and that's what we are going after.
Okay, wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time here, Naveen.
Absolutely,
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Out of time on this episode with InMobi, but if you have any feedback for us, we love hearing from you. Our contact us details coming up in just a moment. Do get in touch. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.